Welcome back to Living in North Carolina channel. If you're thinking about making that move to Mountain View or just curious about what makes this area so special, you're in the right place. Today I'm going to give you, or Katie's going to give you a full tour of Mountain View from its scenic rural charm to its standout amenities, schools, and neighborhoods. We'll even check out Baker's Park, or Baker's Mountain Park, and the highest point in Catawba County. So grab a coffee and let's dive in on everything you need to know about Mountain View out here in Hickory, North Carolina.
All right, guys, so you've heard us talk about Mountain View before. We love Mountain View. A lot of our clients love Mountain View, and so we wanted to showcase it on a map for you. It is more of a rural area, but the thing that's really cool about Mountain View, which is uniquely seen from a map perspective, which is why we do these videos, is Mountain View sits on what we call the southwest side of Catawba County. And I'll show you on a map showing how it is on a county perspective so you can kind of put this in context. Down here is Mountain View, if you want to look at it that way. Now you are heading down into Vale and some other little sub areas, but if you look at the southwest corner of the county, which you can see here on the screen, that is the Mountain View area. Now locals refer specifically to Mountain View, a southwest quadrant that follows that line of I-40 to 127, 321. So this is 127. It goes all the way up into Northwest Hickory, but it also goes all the way through Southwest Hickory, which takes you through Mountain View. So South 127, as locals call it, and North 127, as locals call it, are essentially broken apart by I-40. The reason why people like Mountain View is, as you can see here, it's this little residential pocket that is tucked in with close access to all the major interstates and highways that you would need to get everywhere else. If you're from this area, everybody knows like 40 is how you get east to west. You're either heading to like Conover, Statesville, or you're heading further west. So that can take you that direction, as you can see here on the screen. And then 321 can take you north to south. So you're right here in this little corner here. Now, one thing I'll show you on the map, just to kind of put it in perspective, it is very accessible to all different areas, major crossroads, nearby cities and highways. Brookford, we've talked about that before on our channel. Brookford is itty bitty. And let me show you in perspective of what I mean by that. I'm gonna zoom in and show you. This is Brookford. Brookford connects Mountain View to Hickory. So all this green is true city of Hickory. Everything down here is Catawba County, but it's not in city limits. So that's one of the things we're going to go over today, but I just want to show you what is nearby so you have a point of reference. We're calling this Mountain View, right? It's not labeled on the county map here. Mountain View, and comment below, I'm sure I'm butchering this, but this is more of a township. It's not like anybody's address says Mountain View, North Carolina. It's like a subcategory of Hickory. Every address in the Mountain View area is a Hickory, North Carolina address. So you'll see here, just for a point of reference, north of Mountain View is Longview, Brookford, Hickory, and then Conover is east of that. So just to kind of show you perspective, there's your 127. And the purpose of this map that I wanted to share with you was to show you city limits. Because as we will talk about here in a bit, whenever we get into housing, property taxes down here can be a lot cheaper than up here in this green area. So just to kind of recap, yes, if you type in Mountain View, North Carolina, your GPS isn't really going to know what to do with that. I'll give you a tip though. If you type in Lowe's Foods of Mountain View, that will take you to what we consider to be the center of Mountain View, which is right off this exit here. So a lot of growth and development in this area, and we'll get into lifestyle and amenities and different things, but I wanted you to see it on a map before we really dug in. Because it does provide a very peaceful lifestyle. It's a little more quiet, very residential, without being far, far away from everything else. Welcome to the Living in North Carolina channel, your go-to guide for experiencing the best of North Carolina. From the breathtaking Blue Ridge Mountains to the relaxing Carolina coast, we will cover it all. I'm Katie, a lifelong North Carolinian eager to share the beauty and charm of this state. Whether it's enjoying sweet tea on the porch or exploring scenic trails, I'm here to guide you through what makes North Carolina so special. Are you planning a move? Get expert advice and tips. Are you curious about neighborhoods? We'll help you discover the best spots to live. Are you eager for adventure? Explore local gyms and attractions. So subscribe now and hit the notification bell. Our team of professionals is ready to help you make North Carolina your home. Reach out with your questions and join us on this exciting journey. So Mountain View is largely family communities. A lot of people love the schools in Mountain View. So that's a big draw for folks that want to move out to that area because Mountain View Elementary School is such a great school. We'll get into more of that in a minute, but I want to go over with you a few communities that stand out and showcase different price points in the Mountain View area. It runs across the board because when I say Mountain View, and I'm talking about this large area here, there are some very structured communities, newer communities. I'll use Abernathy Park as an example. Abernathy Park is right up here in this side of Mountain View. There are a lot of new constructions going up like that, but what you see is typically smaller lots. We call them cookie cutter. Sometimes they're a little cookie cutter. Nothing against Abernathy Park. They're not specifically that way. But these new tract builders that come in, that is how they typically develop the properties. There is some of that in Mountain View. But one of the things that I really love about Mountain View is just how long established Mountain View is, in that there are older communities too that are from the 70s, the 80s, that are these nice brick homes that are sitting on half an acre that are still relatively affordable. Homestead is a neighborhood that comes to mind. And then I would say kind of next level up, you've got a little bit higher price points. Deerfield. Deerfield is a beautiful community. It's really hard to get into because nobody wants to move out there. Growing up, I went to Fred T. Ford, so this is way out here. It's further down here, but all the kids that lived in Deerfield, they were like nice homes. Everybody that was kind of like a nice place to be. So it's been around for a while. I'm 36, so high school was a while back for me. And Deerfield is still a very nice community, very well kept and very spaced out, established homes. Great place to raise a family. And then I'll step up another tier as we describe Baker's Mountain Estates. There's some beautiful communities on the mountain. Let me see if I can change my terrain here so you can see. If we're on 127, you can drive down this road and you can see there's this mountain, and that's Baker's Mountain. The highest elevation points in Catawba County is what we call it Mountain View, because everywhere you drive through Mountain View, you can see the mountain. On this mountain is this beautiful community where homes are just speckled across the top of it. It's really, really nice. Some of the higher price points in Mountain View you'll find there at the base of the mountain. And then at the foot of that, you see this beautiful nursery and greenhouse. So it's very scenic. There's a little ball field across the street. So just to kind of show you different areas in Mountain View, all within 10 minutes of one another, mind you, that provide different price points, different lifestyles, different things of how you may want to live. But yeah, those are the ones that come to mind. I will also point out, as for an example, there's a community that is right behind Lowe's Foods here. And it is, as you can tell on this map, there is a little portion of Mountain View that is in Hickory city limits. And this is a community that falls within that. So as we're talking through relocating, home buying, this is the advice of me putting my realtor hat on and saying, property taxes, let's talk about it. Hickory city limits and what that means for your tax bill. So for the example of pointing out, there's a community out there called Old River Falls. It's right behind the Lowe's Foods, as I had said. And you'll notice in this community, it falls within this little speckled green area, which means it does have City of Hickory tax bill. So what does that mean for you as a home buyer? What does that actually look like? Well, let's look at this house, for example. This is in our MLS right now. I'll just share some brief details about it. Tax value, which is really what you need to know here. Tax value is $430,000. List price is $535,000. It's in Old River Falls. Beautiful community, very desirable. Mountain View Elementary School District, as you can tell. So, this is a nice home on a nice lot, tax value being $430,000. Well, how does that affect you as a home buyer? Well, let's look at what the tax bill is on that. Again, completely reasonable compared to where most of you guys are coming from. But just to kind of show you, our tax bills for property tax are broken up into two sections, county and city. Everything in this green area including these little speckles here, which this home is within right here, falls within the Hickory city limits. So your tax bill is going to have an extra 0.455 tax rate on it. And as you can see here on this bill, over half their tax bill is city. So everybody else that's not in that green area that's in Mountain View in that southwest portion of Catawba County just pays county taxes, which is 0.3985 at the time of filming, and we are in 2024. So let's just kind of go back and say, okay, total assessed value for a home, that tax value is $430,000. It's probably going to sell for around $535,000. Your tax bill would be $3675 a year. So just to kind of put that in perspective, and to keep in mind that if this exact same house was sitting anywhere down here in this yellow area, your tax bill would be less than half of that. It'd be $1,700. So keep that in mind as you're relocating. That's why I look at these maps, and that's why, some people love being in city limits because you do have other amenities like city utilities and trash pickup and different things. And not that you can't get that in other areas, but down here in this yellow area, you're not in city limits. So yeah, you might have a septic tank. Yes, you may drink well water. That's normal out here. Some people prefer that, and it's free. So, or free to get the water from the ground, not to maintain your well and your septic system. So, but just consider what lifestyle you want, what area you buy in can affect your monthly payment. Because if you're getting a mortgage, taxes and insurance are escrowed into that. So. Just keep that in mind. And that's one of the things I want to point out. We're talking about housing, we're talking about price points and communities, and I've mentioned a few of them here, but I wanted to show you a real life example of, for a house like this, what your tax bill would be and the contrast of what being in this area versus this area. So this is Northwest Hickory. We talk about that all the time. Hickory city limits, it's a little higher price point, but all down here, you're outside of city limits. So if you're looking for a property that you still want to be able to get to town in 10 minutes, Mountain View may be a good fit. There's a whole lot of space down here, which we would consider Mountain View, Vale, Maidens down here. And each of these different areas represent different tax rates. So very important part of the conversation as you're doing your research on where you want to move and what your price point's going to be. It's definitely a great mix of older subdivisions, newer subdivisions, but they're all very quiet streets, very family-friendly vibe, lots of starter homes. There's also some larger homes. So Mountain View has a little something for everybody. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over, is just to make sure that you knew, regardless of what point of life you were at, there is a community that could really well suit your lifestyle in Mountain View.
What we love most about Mountain View is the lifestyle. It feels less commercial and more residential, with homes that spread out for privacy and scenic beauty all around. Baker's Mountain is the centerpiece of the area, and at its base you'll even find a local nursery and a greenhouse company that adds to the charm of it all. For outdoor enthusiasts, Baker's Mountain Park is a must visit. It's the highest point in Catawba County, standing about 1,780 square feet with nearly 6 miles of trails to explore. The park is home to a beautiful chestnut oak forest, and it's a great spot to experience the wildlife and plant life that are native to this part of North Carolina. You'll also find plenty of local conveniences here, like grocery stores, small hardware shops, miniature golf, and even ice cream spots. And if you're up for a short drive south, Hart Square is in Vale, is a hidden gem with incredible historic charm, but it's only open a few times a year.
All right, guys, so we can't skip over talking about Mountain View area without talking about Mountain View Elementary School. There are many good schools in the Hickory area. There's really no bad schools. I've said that before. Every community has those schools that the moms will talk and be like, oh, I really want my kid in this one or that one, or I don't want them in this one. There's, in my experience, no school that the moms kind of talk and say, I don't want them in that school. I don't want them in that school. I've never heard that. And I'm a mom. I'm connected. I know these things. I will tell you one that you hear a lot about, people bragging about how great of a school it is Mountain View. So Mountain View Elementary is obviously right in the heart of Mountain View, right here at the base of the mountain. It's an adorable school. We've got some footage of it we can share. But highly rated. As a realtor, I try to be careful of, I never like to present my opinion. I like to share data because you can form your opinion based off of data. So this is where I'm going to recommend you go out to greatschools.net or some online resources to, do some research on what you value most in the education system for your child, whether it's, the ratio of teacher to student ratio, or their grades, or different sports programs, because different people value different things. But being that it's Mountain View, I had to point out that there's a lot that appeals to a lot of families about this school. And that's why if you are selling a home in Mountain View, the fact that it's in that school district, it gives you a little bit higher likelihood of selling quickly and for a better price, just because people do want to be in there. There's a lot of great schools in the area. This one actually feeds into Jacobs Fork Middle School, which then goes into Fred T. Ford High School. I went to Fred T. Ford High School, and I turned out great. Everybody always jokes because it, back in the day, it was kind of a country school. It's a smaller school. It's not small. It was a school kind of back in the more rural area. But I'm telling you, like, really good people, good leadership, really fun football nights. It's just a normal high school. So, definitely, as you can see, like, it's not like it's in some big metropolis here. Fred T. Ford kind of sits out there on its own. Now, right behind here is Jacobs Fork Middle School. So if you have kids and one's in middle school and one's in high school, it's very convenient because it's like literally in the same parking lot. So again, this is just a continuation of 127 basically, which like I told you, runs right through. I know it says Plateau Road. It runs right through. And this is, as you go down this way, you're heading more into Vale. So you're getting more rural, more cows, more hay fields. So this way is what brings you back into Hickory, where you've got access to I-40 and the grocery stores and all that. So, just point in saying that, of saying the schools are great. There's really no bad ones. But I just want to give you context of what school could look like there. Mountain View's just, you see Baker's Mountain right there. Mountain View's just down the street. You just drive down a little bit, go down a hill, and right at the base of the mountain, you run into Mountain View Elementary. So it's right at the base of this mountain here. So everything's very close. And when we're describing what life is like in Mountain View, and we're talking with people that are moving here and they're asking about schools, a lot of what we try to do is just point you to the right resources so that you can gather information. Because, part of this channel, part of what we do here by providing the maps and the resources, the information, is just to help you make an informed decision. I'm a big proponent in real estate. Like I always tell folks, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to sell anybody anything. I want to help you make the right decision for your family. And the way I'm natured, the more informed I am, the better decision I can make. So I like providing these map videos and pointing you to resources because it helps you make an informed decision for your family. When we talk about schools, it's such a broad topic. I like to tell you what district it's in, but I also like to, if you reach out and you say, I'm thinking of moving here, I've got kids that are this age and this age, if I bought in this area, what schools would my kids be in? What are those schools like? I'll connect you with all the pieces that you need to have in front of you to help you determine, like, what are the details about it and how would all that work and what are your options. So excellent schools, great location. There's a reason people love the education system out here. And the accessibility. Guys, if you don't like the public school system, there's private schools too. So there's a lot of good private school options and even early college, high school programs. And again, we're talking about Hickory. So when I say Mountain View and I refer to the early college programs, it's 10 minutes away. So everything's within 15 minutes of everything else, and traffic's not that bad. So you can get pretty quickly to a different school if you don't like the public school options in your district. So just wanted to touch on that. That's a very relevant thing for folks that are moving with a family to the Mountain View area or anywhere in North Carolina. You've got a family, you're concerned about schools. So just know this is very high level, but if you reach out to us, you tell us, where you're looking to move to Mountain View specifically, we can connect you with the right folks in those school systems to help be an even better resource to you.
Thank you so much for exploring Mountain View with us today. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly videos all about what life is like to live here in North Carolina. Are you considering a move? Reach out to us. We have an incredible team ready to help make your relocation as seamless as possible. Whether it's finding the perfect home or navigating your move, we've got you covered. And guess what? The next video about Mountain View is starting right now.